Hello and welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker and today we'll be taking a look at the top 8 deck list for the second round of the TCG Player Invitational Qualifier hosted by Apex Gaming. First of all, shout out to the Lost Boys and their Twitter where I'm getting all these deck lists from and heavily involved in the organisation and the running of the event. So shout out to the Lost Boys, they'll be linked below. Also apologies that it's been a few days since, well, more than a few days since my last upload. And we covered the first round of the Invitational of this a few days ago. Can't remember exactly when. It's been a long week. Yeah, and in that I said that the next round was on the 14th and that I would be quicker in uploading it. Unfortunately, my monitor packed in. At first, I thought it was just the charger, so I ordered a new charger, and then the new charger arrived, and lo and behold, apparently I have the black screen of death. So researchers told me, so I had to wait for a new one, which came 3 days later than it was meant to. But enough of that. We are now reset back. We are set up again. So we're coming in with the top 8 deck list, and then I've got loads of content that I need to get done and out this week. So let us waste no more time. We will jump straight into the top 8 lists. And remember, this was the second round to qualify for basically I think it's 5k is the You have to place in either the first or this tournament to be invited to that one, and that's going to be a big one. So let's see how people did. We'll start off with the first place deck list by Zach. But yeah, we got some Ruby Amethyst Control on top once again. So let's go through. We've got 3 Sergeant Tibbs. This seems to be quite... I've talked about in Emerald, Genie being... Well, I think until recently, Genie was debated. Is it needed? And if it is it a 1, 2, or 3? I think now it's pretty safe at 3, and we see at least one list here running the 3. And the 1 counts in Ruby Amethyst, I think, are similar. Because I was at 4, and then I was like, I actually think you need 6. I've actually come around to the way of thinking that I'm not running any 1 costs anymore in my Ruby Amethyst list, but that's a different conversation. But we are seeing less slots given to these 1 slots in Ruby Amethyst, and this person won with only 3, so you've got to take that information. 4 copies of Broom, and we do see 2 copies of Wayward Sorcerer Mickey later on in the list. And another thing that I am going to admit in the last week that I've been not really getting content out but playing a lot online, I have come round a little bit more to 1 Mickey. I am now running 1 Mickey in my list, so 2 is more reasonable now in my eyes. And hey, this is just... I've been saying for a while I don't think Mickey is necessary, and I still don't think it's necessary, but I have started running 1 and finding that I'm getting use out of it. So I can admit when I'm wrong, or at least starting to think that I might have been wrong about it, but let's go on. We've got the 4 Counter Gaston, which I really like, great against Emerald and just lots of things. 4 Maleficent, 2 Rafiki in this list. We've got the 2 Aladdin that we're seeing popping up a lot more in Ruby Amethyst Control now. A lot more people are putting importance into the baby Aladdin. We see 3 Jet Sam, which is a great medical. Obviously, Ruby Amethyst, it's quite regular to see Pongo in the lists now. And of course, for a while, it's been quite regular to see Tinkerbells if you're against Emerald. Ages ago, I was running Jet Sams mostly for the Tinks. It's just a nice quick response to them. I moved away from Jet Sams, but since Pongo has become so much more prevalent in Ruby Amethyst as of late, I think that's why it's a good call to get Jetsam to sneak back into list, because against both Jetsam can challenge and live the hit. So really like that 3 count. We see the 2 Mickey, like I said, only 3 Queen. We see no LeFou in this list and only 1 Shield of Virtue later on, so we're not that invested in the Queen, but it's there as an option. 2 Goofy is nice, I like. 4 Maui, 4 Big Aladdin, 3 copy of Uninkable Elsa, which I do think is right now. I had moved down to, I think 2 was the right number. Apologies for Ziggy the Parrot in the background, but I am going to continue. Yeah, I'd moved down to 2 because I thought 4 was a bit greedy. I now think you kind of need at least 3 to really make this deck run optimally. So yeah, I like the 3. 1 copy of BLT Mickey is very nice. 4 Maleficent, 3 Dragonspire I still think is the right count. 4 Friends, 4 Be Prepared, only 1 Shield and only 1 Pocket Watch, which are the only things I'm not a fan of in this list. I like the 2 Mirror, and yeah, it's the same as I said before, like any card I think you, especially with Ruby Amethyst, you have to assume that you're going to have to ink it, and I think they're both such important cards for various reasons that I would like to see them at a higher count. But nonetheless, this looks really good. They came first, so huge congratulations to Zach. Next up in second place, kicked off of the first place position because Steel Amber has been clearing up as of late. But yeah, still a very respectful second place finish. We have Steel Amber Rock Songs. Most of this looks really standard for making a Wish Lilo, 4 Stitch with the 4 Rockstar later on, 4 Hook, 4 Simba, 3 Prince Eric, so plenty of food for Stitch to draw cards, 4 Ariel, only 3 of the Tiny Tink. We've got the 3 copies of Cinderella here as an extra singer, and again, just sometimes 5 Wall Power and 2 Lore Pips is just good pressure. 4 Rapunzel, only 3 copies of Beast. I wonder if that came in relevant in their final match against the Ruby Amethyst list. Maybe not, because they were only running 1 copies of a couple of the important items, so maybe not necessary. 4 Stitch, like we said, 4 Big Tink, 4 Server Stitch, 4 Be Our Guest, 4 Whole New World. So yeah, this deck could also be called... Sorry, but I spent all of 2 minutes making that, so I'm going to get at least 2 uses out of it. Whole New World and 4 Grab Your Sword. So most of this looks standard, other than obviously the... Well, again, it's not that Cinderella's not standard. We've seen her come up before and do well in this list, but again, you know, that's not something you would always see. That's a preference, but I think it's perfectly fine preference. I still think I'd rather have the 4 Baby Tink. I just think having that live turn 4 is important. And again, it's an extra... We see no Smee here. Again, we've got the Cinderella as a bait target for Rapunzel, but sometimes it's nice to turn 3 be able to put something down so that in turn 4 you can get damage on it and then Rapunzel in the same turn. But still, they came second, so they did very well. So yeah, congratulations to Zach. Next up, top 4, we have Dagon with another Ruby Amethyst control, and I think this is the only other Ruby Amethyst list in this top 8. Once again, the 3 Archimedes. Well, it's the cat or the owl. Who do you prefer? Let me know in comments right now, cat or owl. But yeah, again, 3 copies of the 1-drop, and again, these guys did first and top 4, so you have to take that data and do something with it. 4 Gaston I like, 4 Maleficent, 3 Rafiki in this list. Again, we see the 2 Jetsam. Very nice. We see the 4 Pongo in this list, like we talked about earlier. 4 Goofy, I think is right. I think Goofy's great. I really do. So yeah, I like to see the 4 Maui. We're all the way on the Ursula in this list, more so than the Elsa that we see at the 3 count. I mean, I guess the logic really is just that you get the Ursula down the turn sooner, which can make a difference, and it also opens up a turn 8 Sing of Be Prepared, so that you can then use your Rink to be doing things like Magic Mirror, reassembling a board state, things like that. And again, I've always said that Ursula's a great card. It's just that Ruby Amethyst has such a poor early game that I moved away from her, because I think you want to prioritise things like Elsa's and Maleficent and Be Prepared, and, you know, it was just a consistency thing. But my latest Ruby Amethyst, I have put 1 copy of Ursula back in. Yeah, she's just really, really good. 4 Aladdin, 3 Elsa, like I said, 4 Maleficent. Again, 3 Dragon's Fire, I think is becoming fairly staple. Although then again, I think the last bunch of Ruby Amethysts we looked at were like 4 Dragon's Fire in 3 or 4 lists in a row. So, you know, up for debate. 4 Friends, 4 Be Prepared. We see the 2 Shield in this list, 2 Mirror, 1 Cauldron this time, which we didn't see in the first place list. And again, only the 1 Pocket Watch. It's the only thing I don't like. I think you could lose an Ursula for the second Pocket Watch. Or if you want the full count of Ursula, I think it's fine to go down to maybe 3 Pongo, or even 2 Rafiki, or maybe 2 Archimedes. Like, you know, if you're only running 3, maybe 2's fine as well. I don't know. A lot of these are preference calls, but still a really nice looking list. So congratulations to Dagon on the top 4 finish. Next up, we have a little bit of spice. We have Brad in top 4 with Steel Amber Bodyguards. My friend absolutely loves to see it. We see the baby Lilo in here with Simba later on, both at 4 count for that Bodyguard. You know, obviously Protector, and because Bodyguard is very good in this deck. Only 2 copies of the Forceful Duelist Captain Hook, 3 LeFou, which again worth noting because we see the 4 Rapunzel later on. LeFou is nice because quite often they want to challenge into it and get it off the field, but because he's only got 1 strength, they quite often live the hits. They leave something vulnerable for you to get damage on to them Rapunzel for more cards. So yeah, worth noting. Again, we're seeing the 4 copies of the Cornered Swordsman becoming more popular. I think probably one of the most underrated cards originally, by myself as well. But yeah, last couple of tournaments, been putting in a lot of work. 4 copies of True Hero Hercules, of course, 'tis the theme. We might as well skip to the final card before we go through everything else. The Musketeer to Bard, all for 1 and 1 for all. 4 cost unlinkable. Whenever one of your characters with Bodyguard is banished, you may draw a card. And that's banished in any way. It doesn't have to be in a challenge, so Be Prepared or Maleficent or Dragon's Fire or anything like that will pop it. Obviously, it won't be popped by things like Hades, putting it in the inkwell, but it has to be banished. But yeah, and also it doesn't stack. Like, if you have 2 or 3 Bodyguarders out at once and they Be Prepared, you don't get to draw a card for each one. But still, great card, and we see a lot of Bodyguarders in here already. We've seen the Simba and the Hercules. We see the 4 Baby Tink, followed by 4 Big Tink later on in the list. We said 4 Rapunzel already, and then of course our Musketeers: Donald Duck, Goofy, and Mickey, all at a 4 count. 4 Maximus as well, another great Bodyguarder. Tinkerbell, 4 Smash, 3 Grab Your Swords, which I think is a nice, healthy, ungreedy count for this list, and then the Tabard. So yeah, love it. So glad that this list did well. So glad. I'm not sure if they are already out or will be coming out, but like the first Invitational, they streamed or filmed it and then later uploaded to YouTube as individual games. I'd love to find one of these, but yeah, Brad, my friend, congratulations, love it. Now we move to the 5th to 8th positions. Top 8, we have Brendan with some Amber Sapphire mid-range. 4 of the Dog Stitch, and we see no Rockstar Stitch. We do see 4 Surfer later on. But yeah, mainly just to be a 1 cost, really, a 1 cost drop, and we see the 1 Flounder to make that 5. We see the Bodyguard Simba, 4 Philatites, who is fantastic in so many ways. 4 Mickey, 4 Hades, I really like. Just extra, just like consistent recycling of those Rapunzels, those Maleficents, and those Hades. Things like that. So yeah, I like that. Rapunzel, as I mentioned, Maximus, we got the 4 Maleficent, 4 Robin Hood, we talked about Stitch and 4 Hades. We're all the way in on the You Have Forgotten Me as well. Dirty. 4 Be Our Guest, I really like. I think Be Our Guest is... Like, when I first saw Be Our Guest, it was one of those cards where I was like, oh, this is an easy 4 of in any Amber deck. Like, character search, that sounds... Of course you would run that. Like, I know it's not the same, but from my Yu-Gi-Oh days, it reminded me of cards like Reinforcements of the Army, which again, not the same because that card let you actually search your deck for a specific warrior-type monster. This isn't searching, this is just the top 4. But again, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, this is the closest we have to, like, finding characters to... I'm sure one day we will get something like search your deck for a hero or something like that. But nonetheless, I think at first I really overrated Be Our Guest, and then it became a matter of it's only really useful if you're playing it in song decks specifically and you get the free search for it, and sometimes then it's just ink. But I do think it has become underrated as just a search card, because sometimes just finding Rapunzel and Hades and Stitch on the right turn is really important. So really like to see that. 4 Let It Go and 3 Eye of the Fates. Yeah, I really like this list. I can see why it did well. So yeah, congratulations to Brendan. Next up, we have Jesse with Amethyst Emerald Lockout, as I have started calling this sort of style of deck. 3 Olaf with the 3 Megara later on for some nice response to aggro. 4 Pascal for that nice early questing, cheeky questing. 4 Flynn, 4 Maleficent, 2 Rafiki, 4 Cheshire, 4 Jasper, 2 copies of the Peter Pan. So, like, again, I think these Peter Pans are coming up in counts more just as responses to Pongos and opposing Tinkerbells and things like that. But yeah, Peter Pan's popping up a little bit more and more. 4 Hans, 4 Tink, as I said, 4 the standard counts of Kuzco, Matahat. Mustard? Let's not be silly. Butter, that's different. 4 Mad Hatter, 3 Genie, which again, I think we have found our correct Genie count, at least for Chapter 1 format. 3 John Silver, I like to see again, really strong card, really, like, big old fan of John Silver. And I am biased because I love Treasure Planet, but he's so good. He's such a good card. 1 Befuddle seems to be the count in this deck, which I like, you know. Sometimes it's just a matter of, if you're playing the mirror especially, or anything, or at least an emerald mirror, it's just putting them a turn back and making sure you win that race. 4 Friends and 3 Mother knows best. So yeah, looks really good. This lockout style of deck is we're not seeing loads of them top 8, although I think maybe 2 of them were in the last top 8 deck lists. But we're seeing it pop up a lot. So yeah, really strong deck and obviously well piloted. So congratulations to Jesse on a top 8 finish. Next up, we have Alex with some Steel Amber classical songs. So we got the 4 Hook, 4 Eric, 4 Ariel, 4 Tink, I like it. 2 Goblins of Hades, this is like becoming a regular count in the classical version of Steel Amber songs, which I like. 4 Rapunzel, 3 Hans, all the way in on the Beasts. We do see the two T-Car, which we'll come back to in a moment. 4 Tink, only 3 of the Surfer Stitch. I guess that's fine. Like, I don't know, like, it's just, often you have to ink them, and it's quite important to find them at the right time when you've got enough ink and those characters on the board. So I think that's why we regularly see them in 4, as a 4 count, but 3, okay. 4 Smash, all the way in on the You Have Forgotten Me, 4 the standard song package for classical songs, as far as I'm concerned, which is 4 Be Our Guest, 4 Hakuna Matata, 4 Grab Your Swords, and I think 2 is the right counterpart your world, but at least I think standard song package for classical songs are these, and with at least 1 of the part of your worlds. But yeah, with the 2 Hades as well, just again, that extra recycling is, again, maybe that's why they're justifying the 3 Stitch. I'm probably cutting the 2 T-Car and going to the 4th Stitch, and then I'd like to see Cerberus. I'd like to see Cerberus in this list because I just think it's such a good card. Yeah, it's probably 2 T-Car. Like, you keep the 3 Stitch and go to 2 Cerberus, but again, preference calls. But they did very well, so congratulations to Alex on a top 8 finish. And last but not least, in top 8, we have some more Steel Amber rock songs. This all looks pretty similar to the first one, other than the lanterns, and only a 2 beast count. So yeah, 4 Lido, 4 Stitch, 4 Hook, Simba, Eric, yep, all nice high counts of everything, except Beast, which I think is peculiar. I would like again, I think that needs to be at least a 3 count. And the decks that are doing well the most seem to be running 4, but I think at least 3 is important. But you've got the... No, you've not got Hades or Part of Your World. Yeah, I'd like that at a higher count. And 4 Lantern, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Lantern. I respect it, but I think even if I was I thought to put it in a deck, I think 2. But again, I'm less experienced with it, so... This person clearly knows this deck a lot better than me, but again, I would probably go to 3 Lantern and 3 Beast personally, but nonetheless, congratulations to Josh. And there we have it with the top 8 deck lists for the second round of the TCG Player Invitational. We will, of course, be covering the final part of the event, the 5K tournament, which is bound to have some fantastic players and some fantastic lists. It will be interesting to see who keeps the same list that they went into, that they qualified with, or like who goes down a completely different road, or who might just make alterations, but we will be covering all of it. If you're brand new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the like button, and we'll see you soon.